Let's talk about a true rock and roll original, a voice that could just shake a stadium to its foundations. We're talking about the one, the only Meat Loaf. Born Marvin Lee Aday, he gave us one of the most wild, theatrical, and just flat-out beloved albums in music history. But the story behind Bat Out of Hell? It's every bit as epic as the songs themselves.
Let's just start with a number to put this all in perspective. Over 43 million copies of Bat Out of Hell sold worldwide. That puts it in the stratosphere, one of the best-selling albums of all time. And get this, it still sells around 200,000 copies every single year. That's not just an album, that's a cultural phenomenon.
And yet, and this is the crazy part, for years, this was the album that nobody wanted. I mean, it was turned down, flat out rejected by every major record label out there. So how on earth did a project that the so-called experts dismissed as a total joke become one of the most successful rock albums ever made? Well, that's the story we're going to get into.
Okay, so to really get the music, you gotta understand the man. And that story, believe it or not, starts with his unforgettable name. This wasn't some marketing gimmick, it was literally given to him in pieces throughout his childhood.
So the first part, Meat, came from his own dad, right at birth. Apparently, he was this big, bright red baby, and his dad told the hospital staff, just put a name tag on the crib that says, Meat. Simple as that. Then, years later, the second part, Loaf, gets tacked on by a football coach after a young and, let's say, sizable Marvin accidentally stepped on his foot. The coach yells, "Get off my foot, you hunk of Meat Loaf," and boom, just like that, a legend was named. But here's the thing. You can't talk about the legend of Meat Loaf without talking about his creative other half, the absolute visionary composer, Jim Steinman. Their partnership was just one of rock's most explosive collaborations, and man, did they share a singular, totally theatrical vision. You see, Steinman wasn't writing your typical 3-minute pop songs. No way. He was creating what he called Wagnerian rock, these massive, operatic epics just filled with teenage angst and explosive energy. In a world of disco and punk, this was something else. Think hard rock meets Broadway meets classical opera. There was nothing, and I mean nothing, else like it. And here's a key piece of the puzzle. Bat Out of Hell didn't even start as a rock album. It actually began as a stage musical, this futuristic take on Peter Pan called Neverland. And once you know that, it all makes sense, right? It explains why every song feels like its own mini-drama. They were literally written for the stage, with characters and stories baked right into their DNA. So when Steinman met Meat Loaf back in '73, he knew he'd found the perfect voice for his incredible vision. Steinman's description of their first meeting is it's amazing. He said Meat Loaf's presence was so powerful, so immediate, it was like a giant cat marking its territory. He knew right then and there he'd found his star.
So, they had the songs, they had the singer, they were sitting on what they knew was a masterpiece. The problem? Nobody else in the music industry agreed with them. What came next was just a soul-crushing parade of rejection.
And listen, this wasn't just a short struggle. For 2.5 years, they were told no over and over and over again. They'd perform the songs live for all these executives, and the answer was always the same. Their manager even used to joke that new record companies were being formed just so they could be rejected by them too.
The most infamous rejection, the one that really hurt, came from the legendary CBS executive Clive Davis. He told Jim Steinman, a guy Meat Loaf called a walking rock encyclopedia, that he didn't know how to write a song and should go buy some pop records to learn.
Can you imagine?
Meat Loaf said that moment almost broke him, and he just screamed curses at Davis's office window from the street below.
But after years of having doors slammed in their faces, the project finally found a couple of key people who actually got it, who understood its chaotic, over-the-top genius. And the first was a legendary producer.
Producer Todd Rundgren heard the album and thought it was hilarious. He was absolutely convinced it was some elaborate parody of Bruce Springsteen's whole grandiose rock style. But he loved it because of that. He saw the outrageousness not as a flaw but as its greatest strength, and he agreed to produce it, even fronting a lot of the money himself when it was clear they didn't have a deal.
So, with the album recorded but still totally homeless, their last hope rested on this small subsidiary of Epic Records. A guy named Steve Popovich at Cleveland International Records heard the demos, and he got it instantly. He saw that blue-collar appeal and knew it would connect with people in a city like Cleveland. He was the one who finally gave them their break.
And what a team they put together in the end. I mean, look at this lineup. You've got Meat Loaf's iconic voice, Steinman's epic songs, Rundgren's brilliant production,
And then, in this beautiful, ironic twist, after all those constant Springsteen comparisons, they brought in pianist Roy Bittan and drummer Max Weinberg from Bruce Springsteen's actual E Street Band to play on the record. You can't make this stuff up.
So, when Bat Out of Hell was finally released in 1977, it wasn't an instant smash. Its legacy, though, would grow into something so much bigger, so much more enduring than anyone could have possibly imagined.
Yeah, the album's success was definitely a slow burn, but when the BBC aired a live performance, audiences in the UK and Australia just went wild for it. It became this word-of-mouth sensation, spending over 522 weeks. That is a decade on the UK charts. To this day, it is still the best-selling album in Australian history. Period.
And you gotta remember, Meat Loaf was never just a singer. The same theatrical energy that powered the album made him a complete natural on screen. Even before Bat was released, he was Eddie in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And of course, later on, he had that unforgettable role in Fight Club. The man was a true dual threat.
And just to prove this wasn't some fluke, some lightning in a bottle moment, 16 years later, Meat Loaf and Jim Steinman reunited for Bat Out of Hell 2. The lead single, I'd Do Anything for Love, was a global monster, hitting #1 in 28 countries and cementing their legacy for a whole new generation.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Bat Out of Hell is so much more than just an album. It's really a testament to sticking to your artistic vision no matter what. It's bombastic, it's way over the top, and for millions and millions of fans, it's absolutely perfect. It's a cultural touchstone, a critical lightning rod, and yeah, quite possibly, the ultimate rock opera. Which really makes you wonder, will we ever see anything this gloriously excessive again?